Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Eric Speck with me here today. Best described as a life restorer and right choice mind shift catalyst. Dr. Eric J. Speck, PharmD, MBA, PMP, is a highly respected speaker, consultant, and mentor, celebrated for his dedication to helping others make optimal choices for fortifying their careers and livelihood. Eric has a lot of accomplishments, and his experiences have given him a unique insight into lasting consequences of our choices, motivating him to share his wisdom with fellow professionals to help them live their best lives. Today, Eric stands on stage, passionately inspiring others to remain conscious of their actions while also taking care of themselves physically, mentally, and emotionally. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Hey, Tim, thank you so much. Thanks for the intro. Happy to be here.
All right. So Eric, give us a quick snapshot of what your business looks like right now, what you do, what your company does.
Yeah, sure. So I will say, my full-time job, the job that's currently paying the bills, I'm a senior project manager for a healthcare company based out of Phoenix. I get the privilege of working from home, so I get to see my wife and my two wonderful children a lot more than being stuck in traffic on the 10 commuting. And I work with a great group of people, and I really do like my job. However, my passion, and I feel more of my purpose, is related to my speaking and consulting business that I have on the side. How I started that was, prior to being a project manager, I was a pharmacist. I'm actually a third generation pharmacist and the fifth to graduate from pharmacy school in my family. So it was a natural path for me to, get into pharmacy. I was never forced or coerced. It was just, they liked it. And I said, well, that's what I want to do too. And really enjoyed pharmacy school, really enjoyed the academia part of it. But it wasn't too long after I graduated that I found myself struggling with an addiction to prescription medication, which took me down a really difficult path, and ultimately,
not uncommon in a field where you're dealing with medications freely.
It's not too uncommon. And it's interesting you say that, because when I was going through my struggles, I felt like I was the only person in the world who had done these kind of things, and there was a lot of shame and guilt surrounding that. But ultimately, I got onto the board of pharmacy, had a disciplinary action taken against my license, was out of work, and I was fighting for a few years to get my license restored, to get back to really continuing on with my life. I went to school because I wanted to have a bright future. I wanted to have nice things. I wanted to have a family and a comfortable life. And because of the choices I made, my livelihood was destroyed. It was a very, very difficult time. I ultimately ended up leaving pharmacy because I found another opportunity that didn't require a license, and I was tired of jumping through all their hoops and really not going anywhere in their program. And went back to school, got my MBA degree, got married to the most amazing woman I've ever met. And we now have two beautiful but very wild young children, two boys who I love more than anything.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. And from what happened in my pharmacy career, which wasn't a very successful one, with that shame and guilt, I didn't talk about anything that happened for about 5 years. I just tried to bury it all down. And over time, I started to meet more people with similar stories who were openly talking about it and helping other people, either through just sharing their experience or one way or another. And I really liked that. And that allowed me to start doing the same thing. I was afraid that if I shared my story, people would not want to talk to me, not want to be my friend. I would be blacklisted. But the opposite was true. People came out and said, your story is like so insightful, so helpful, all those different kind of things. So it really opened my eyes to I can use that really bad time of my life, and instead of continuing to have it negatively affect me, I could turn that bad experience into something good and do good with that. Right. So then I started speaking at universities and organizations, And really, my speaking is aimed at preventing others from going down the same path I did. Everybody who was in a similar situation as me, they've all said two things. They said, it'll never happen to me. I'm too good for that. I'm too smart. I'm just not that kind of person. Whatever it is, they fool themselves into thinking they're immune to these kind
you're
of
young
things.
and stupid.
Young and stupid. Exactly. And you think you're invincible. I know for me growing up, whether it was athletics or academics, anything I set my mind to, I excelled. I did extremely well. And so I told myself, I'm never going to have a problem with addiction. If something does arise, I'll be able to conquer it and kick its ass, just like I've kicked, life's ass up until now.
Right.
But, addiction is so strong. It's the only thing in life that's like really kicked my ass. One visual that comes to mind is the Hulk. The Hulk takes a guy and he picks him up and he smashes him on the ground, smashes him on the ground. It's like addiction was Hulk, and I was the guy getting smashed. I mean, I had no chance against that. And the other thing is, people say the consequences aren't that bad. As a pharmacist, okay, well, the board of pharmacy will get involved. Maybe they'll suspend my license. I'll have to go through a program, that sort of thing. But the consequences are so severe and so widespread. People don't think about these kind of things. My relationship with my family's been damaged because of this. They now look at me differently. Things are a lot better now, but going through that, that was the case. And the same thing, my friends, my classmates from pharmacy school, and not only the external consequences, but the internal consequences, which are probably worse. I felt like I was less than because of these things I did, which then inhibited my ability to achieve things in life that I otherwise would have had no problem with. It really made me question myself and held me back for a long time. So sharing my experience, sharing my takeaways in front of an audience has been very rewarding for me. I always get great feedback from the audience and the organizers. A lot of times it surprises me and blows me away of how much of an impact I make when I go up there and speak, because it's just me sharing my story and the valuable lessons that I've learned from going through a very difficult time. The other piece of it is the consulting. Some people may call it coaching. I call it consulting, where I work with individuals who are going through something similar that I did, 10 years ago. Basically, they were in my shoes. Involvement with the board of pharmacy, a different medical board, maybe consequences from their employer, difficulty finding work. When you're in these situations, there's all sorts of questions you have, and there are many different paths you can take. But what happens, just like with myself, people don't know what direction to go. Should I stay in pharmacy, if it's a pharmacist, or should I get out? Should I join their program or should I not join their program? What else can I do? And they're very, very individual specific on what you should do. But I work with these individuals to support them and guide them. And I haven't met anybody else who is focusing on the audience or the niche that I am, an individual that provides the kind of help and support that I do. And I'm so glad that those people have somebody to come to for help and support. And I know what I need to get better at is putting myself out there so people know who I am, so they have somebody to come to. Because when you're going through a difficult time, the worst way to go through that is alone and without direction. And that's how most people do it.
So if somebody's listening to this and wants to get better they're in a bad spot, right? What do you suggest they do? What tips would you give them?
Man, it's so hard to say. It depends exactly what's going on. My number one recommendation for anybody, especially for somebody struggling, goes back to, don't do it alone. Find a support group. I recommend doing this before things get bad. Make sure you have a support group, people you can rely on who can help you in case times do get tough. If times are tough and you find yourself without a support group, go find a support group. A big one for a lot of people, and for me, was the rooms of NA or NA, any of these 12-step groups. I remember my first time going to those meetings, I finally felt like I belonged. I didn't feel like a failure and an outcast, because people were able to share similar stories and they were able to share their victories and overcoming very challenging
Right.
times. And they were able to provide wisdom and guidance for me because they went through something similar. So
Right. Kind of like
that
you
would be,
said earlier, it sounds like that's kind of a safe space, an inner circle where people can go in and share their experiences. The way you said, being vulnerable is where the
yep.
gold is at.
Yep,
It really helps people.
100%. And I've noticed nowadays, I feel like there's so many different groups online that you can join. There's a lot of support out there. So my recommendation is just go find the support that seems like a good fit for you, people you can trust. And you may need to search around a little bit, but it shouldn't be too hard to find what you need out there. There's a lot of resources out there today, and you just have to go out there and get them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if share my information, I'm always happy to talk to people. I'm not saying I can help everybody, but maybe not personally or directly, but I could definitely point somebody in the right direction or give them a suggestion. Like, oh, I can't, help you with that, but let me, Google something and take a look, and then, send you there. Maybe talk to these people, see how that goes. If it doesn't work, come back to me. We'll try something else. I think through my whole experience, I've become very understanding and empathetic of people's struggles. And even when they make poor choices, I don't judge them because I know so many people judged me based upon the choices that I made. It's like I'm a good person. I just did a bad thing, but so many people, think you're a bad person because of the things you did. And I know that's not me. I know I'm a good person. And so I have a very difficult time seeing anybody as bad. I always joke around. It's like I'd be a terrible like prosecuting attorney or a terrible judge because I would just be like, we can't get this guy in trouble. He just made a poor choice. Let's be easy on him, give him another chance, or at least give him the tools and resources he needs to get better.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's a wise mindset to know that you are stronger and better and more insightful the more experiences you've had, right? You've seen both sides of an issue, right? You can bring a little more intelligence to bear on it,
Yep,
and
certainly.
empathy, as you said.
Certainly. Yeah, and I know going through my struggles, it wasn't just one incident that occurred. There were multiple. And I think one reason there were multiple incidents and one reason I went so far down that path is I feel like the way the system is set up, judicial system, administrative systems, they're very much punitive and about consequences, thinking that's going to prevent the person from doing it again. What would have helped me better, and I think would help a lot of people, is if these organizations actually provided help and support to these individuals to help them get back on their feet and get their root issues taken care of so they don't keep going on making the same mistakes. But they don't even look at that. And then that's why so many people continue to make the same mistakes over and over again, and life gets worse and worse for them.
And so you're able to talk to different groups and classes now as well, right? And
That's
have an
right.
impact in the area that way.
That's right.
So,
Yep.
okay, so as we start wrapping up the interview, what sort of can you talk about any exciting plans or initiatives you have for the coming year?
Our biggest push right now for our family is to purchase our first home. I know that may not be big for a lot of people. I would have thought I would have been able to purchase my first home a long, long time ago.
Right.
And going through everything I did, it's very expensive. There's a lot of opportunity costs. When you're supposed to be making $150,000 a year because of your degree, and then you can't work for a few years, you're losing $150,000 a year waiting for it to come around, and
Right.
then investing into further education to give you that livelihood that you originally worked for. I dug myself into a really, really big hole, and it's hard to get out of those holes, but we've been chipping away at it and chipping away at it. So that's what we're focused on right now is purchasing our first home. And I think that may be of interest for you based on your background and what you do and this podcast. But besides that, it's really just strengthening my relationship with my wife, which is already great, but it's the most important thing to me, and raising these kids to be the most amazing humans they could be.
Okay, excellent. That sounds like some great plans for the future.
Yep.
And I think yes, stopping to pay rent to somebody else is a great step as well.
Right. Yeah,
You start working.
that's
Go
how
ahead.
we feel. We feel like we're just throwing, money away every month, every year. And this will be our fourth year at this lease. And I think, man, it's a couple $100,000 we could have put into our own home for equity.
Right,
So yeah, hopefully we'll solve that problem.
right, right. And yeah, and parlay that into other streams of income and so
Yeah.
forth, right? Which is kind of what we do is trying to find different ways where you can start dialing back your W-2
Yep.
or right,
Yep.
ease your way into retirement.
Yeah, and definitely expanding my speaking and my consulting and bringing in more revenue from that is also on the list of things to do for the future. I feel like for anybody, first what you have to do is you have to get security, you have to get stability, you have to get the
Right.
basics done. Then once you get those, then you could start, going up the ladder and achieving more and more different things. And so we're at that point right now where we're really starting to go after those bigger and better things. So it's a good, exciting spot for us to be as a family right now.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Eric, for your time today and for sharing your story and insights and tips with us. If people would like to connect with you, what should they do?
Yeah, pretty easy to find via my website. It's ericjspeck.com. So ERICJSPECK.com. That's my speaking and consulting website.
Okay.
Talks a little bit more about me, what I do, and of course how to get in contact with me.
Okay. I'm sure you have a lot of resources as well once they contact you to help
Absolutely.
people in all sorts of aspects and programs. All right.
Yep.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah, Tim, thanks so much for having me on.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.